How are you feeling? You got John Riggs here in a regular series. I love to cover games from a specific company. Today we're talking about all the great games from Bandai for the Nintendo Entertainment System. 21 games, a ton of variety with Bandai for the NES. We're going to cover them all in this video, and we're going to do that starting right now. Chubby Cherub is the second ever NES game I ever played. The first one being Burger Time. I didn't have a clue what I was doing. I still don't know what I'm doing. In this game, you play as a naked cherub. You play as a chubby cherub. You can jump, but you can also fly. Why don't you just fly through the whole level? Just eat the little snacks along the way. That'll keep your energy up. Yeah, things like pies and sticky rice on sticks and stuff like that. That's gonna keep your energy up for sure. This game is very Japanese to its core. I mean, even the Japanese version you play as a ghost, I think. But this one, the NES one, the one that we got, could have been a black box title. It was the silver box though, and it's just an interesting, unique, kind of weird early game that was available to us growing up. Now you are a cherub, but instead of shooting arrows, you shoot love. You actually shoot these hearts at enemies. And when I say enemies, I mean like dogs. There are times when the level just kind of stops. You have to eat all the things on the screen and then grab the item to go through the rest of the level. And as you make your way through the level, I do also kind of like how the daylight would change. Sometimes it'd be like morning to, brighter outside. It'd go to dusk, it'd turn like red outside and stuff like that. I mean, there's a little bit of a variety in this game. So it's much more than just, play as a weird cherub eating snacks and going to the end of the level. Although that's also totally what this game's all about. The end of the level is you're at these windows and you have to eat all the snacks. When you do so, the window opens up. Sometimes it's an enemy, gotta watch out for that. And then sometimes it's some kid, and that's, yay, you won. You move on to the next level. I don't know, I'll give it a C. I'm kind of indifferent to this game. Dick Tracy is a game I showcased in an underrated NES games video. I love this game. However, the comments from that video, people do not seem to like this game, but I love it. I mean, the comments were all about like, oh, it's a terrible game, it's a bad game, it stinks, it's the worst. I'm pretty sure there's one comment that actually literally said it is a known bad game. Known? I know it is a good game. I don't listen to what other people say. This is my opinion. And I'm looking for that overworld game. And Who Framed Roger Rabbit kind of did this. But I thought it was great because it's like, you gotta find out and solve the clues. You gotta drive around town. You gotta find out where you're going. Talk to somebody, maybe one of the bad guys. They're gonna say, hey, it wasn't me. Talk to this person over here. So you're driving all over town. They're shooting people. The action part of the game is when you're punching the bad guys. That part's a little weird, I suppose. But you're punching the bad guys. If they have a gun, you can shoot them. If they don't have a gun, if you shoot them, then you take damage. So you gotta do the honorable thing by punching them in the face and keeping your piece in your pocket, I suppose. Now, it's not a perfect game, but I do like this game quite a bit. I'm actually putting this game as a B. Now, Dig Dug 2 is not some kind of inspired by, loosely translated, sequel to a game. This is an actual licensed sequel to Dig Dug. And I kind of like it. It's different from Dig Dug a little bit, though, because you still have the ability to inflate and pop these enemies. But then the digging part is you're on an island and you can dig the pieces to make islands fall into the water, clear off a bunch of enemies all at once. It's a fine puzzle game. It's okay. I'm gonna give this game a C. Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, many people claim this game as one of the worst for the NES. And I would agree, because I don't know what I'm doing in this game. Now, there are a few. I've actually met a few people who do kind of like this game. They said, hey, once you know how to play it, it's actually not a bad game. Now, I understand the one part, like, you're just going through town and, you're just minding your own business with other kids dropping bombs and stuff like that. And then after a while, you just turn into Mr. Hyde, and then you start walking the other direction for some reason. It's one of those, like, you probably could get into it, and once you learn how to play it, it's probably a pretty decent game. Well, a lot like Jaws, a lot like Friday the 13th. Once you learn how to play it, it's actually a pretty decent game. This game, even if I knew how to play it, I still don't think it'd be a decent game. I'm giving this game an F. Dragon Power for the NES, guess what? It's Dragon Ball. This is the Dragon Ball Famicom game, translated and ported for the NES, but they changed a couple of things, so it's not quite it's Dragon Ball. I mean, they took the Dragon Ball game, look at the graphics, look at the people, see what's going on. Instead of playing as Goku, you play as this little monkey boy or something. And it's admittedly not great, even though it's Dragon Power. It's like, at first you're like, oh wait, Dragon Ball, cool. And you're like, all right, well, okay. I'm giving this game a D. Dragon Spirit, on the other hand, well, that's a very great game. It's an overhead shooter, but you play as a dragon. You can either shoot forward or the other button shoots down on the ground, wherever the ground happen to be, whether it be the water, the island, or something like that. The upgrades in this game give you better firepower, multiple heads for extra, extra shooting and stuff like that. A lot of great time playing Dragon Spirit. Huge fan of Dragon Spirit. I'm putting this game right up there. I'm putting this game as an A. Dino Wars caught my attention as just being kind of a unique NES game in a way. A couple of different gameplay, well, both are kind of the same. There's an action platform part where you play as the guy going through like a factory or a base or something like that, Why you're there, I don't know, but the end result after going through the platforms, the jumping, the climbing, the little elevator lifts, the spikes, there's always spikes in games like this. At the end of these stages, then you hop inside your mechanical dino, I guess, and then it turns into a little action part where you play as this kind of robotic dinosaur fighting off these other little dinosaurs, or sometimes bigger dinosaurs, and do so by punching. You can also get things to launch, like your fist launcher. You launch your fist. This is this game could have been a lot better. I'll put it as a C though. It's not terrible, but man, it's something. Frankenstein, another one of those games that kind of flies under the radar when you're talking about Nintendo games. Everyone talks about all the big popular games. This one's not as popular, but it's still really, really good. I think the graphics are great, the sound is fine. It's cool, kind of a cool game, and it's based on Frankenstein, and Frankenstein's always been kind of a cool monster in my book. The enemies in this game are unique enough. I mean, there's like trolls, and you can pick up weapons too. So it's not just punching everyone all the time. You can actually pick up a club, start clubbing enemies and stuff like that. Other weapons later on too. It's another one of those NES games, man. If you haven't picked it up yet or haven't checked it out yet, now's a good time to check it out. I think it might be worth your while to give it a look-see. I'll put this game as a B. Bandai did a couple of old arcade games on the NES, Galaga being one of them, and Galaga is one of the all-time favorites for many. I'm not as nostalgic or married to Galaga as a lot of people are. I like it, it's okay. I like it. It's still just, it's Galaga. I mean, at this point with the NES, you'd figure they'd be focusing on, other arcade games and not games that came out, several years prior. But again, if you liked Galaga, like that old arcade style, it plays just like that. I am indifferent to Galaga. I'll put it as a C. Fun game, great game, don't get me wrong. It's just seen it before. Let's talk about Gilligan's Island, shall we? Well, the actual name is The Adventures of Gilligan's Island, but this Gilligan's Island game, I was actually a little excited to play this game. Now, my brother was a die-hard Gilligan's Island fan. He loved this show. And again, growing up in the 80s, you only had the one TV, so if he was watching it, well, I was watching it too. So, I mean, I liked it okay. And it was apparently just another one of those, it was enough to make a game based on an old TV series, and I guess why not? Well, I wish they would have given that a second thought. This game's interesting. I rented it. I did play all the way through it, I beat it, but it was a sluggish challenge because you play as the skipper and Gilligan's at your side, and he's always dropping in the holes, getting caught. Take any game you want, Metal Gear Solid, BioShock. If you do not like rescue mission games, you will not like this game, because this entire game, you always have Gilligan at your side, and you're always looking out for him. Now, you have to do your own stuff, too. And each level, or episode in this case, is mostly a fetch quest. Oh, this person needs this, go get this, do this, go there. So much of me wants to play this all the way through one more time, and it will be my last time, maybe before this year is over. I am giving this game a D because of its frustration. If you didn't have to worry about Gilligan, it'd be a little higher on the list. It might be a C, maybe even a B. No, it'd be a C, but you always have Gilligan with you. This game's a D. It shows promise. It's just not great. We got Bandai Golf, another great golf game for the NES, and I actually kind of like the golf video games, especially the 8-bit, 16-bit golf games. I think they're okay to play. I mean, throw them up every once in a while, have some fun playing golf. This game, not one of the better golf games for the NES, but it plays okay. I kind of like my golf games to have that behind-the-back view first when you swing the club and all that. This one doesn't so much. I'm going to put it as a D, though, because there are other golf games available for the NES that are much better. Like even Golf from Nintendo, like one of the launch titles. I like that game more than this one. Legends of the Diamond is a great idea because it just takes the best players of all time and puts it into one Nintendo game. Now, you don't play as actual teams. You don't play as the Yankees, you don't play as the Mariners, nothing like that. In fact, it's probably for the better you don't play as the Mariners. But you do play as like Babe Ruth, Hank Aaron, stuff like that too. And it plays like a decent baseball game. It plays the way it should. And when I say that, I mean the usual common views that you're used to behind the back when you're pitching. When you're pitching, the view doesn't change. Throw the ball to a certain base, nothing like that. It keeps the controls the way they should, and I love that about this game. I like baseball games. I'm not the best at them. This one's pretty decent. I'll put this one as a B. Monster Party is such a great, unique game to play. It's so different, it's so interesting, especially at the time when it came out. You play as a boy with a baseball bat, that is your primary weapon, and then you meet a dragon named Bert, right? And then you're in this weird area. The very first stage sets the whole scene for the entire game, of just how unique and weird and interesting this game is. Especially with these enemies, they throw stuff at you. You can swing your baseball bat, hit them back to them, or you can just club them with your baseball bat. That'll take care of them as well. There's like legs sticking out of the ground. When you defeat the enemies, you can get your health back. Sometimes you'll get the pill that turns you into your flying dragon, so then you can fly around the stage and shoot your little beams at enemies and stuff like that. You want to keep playing this game because you never know what the next boss is going to be or look like or do. That's half the fun for this game for me, is to see what the next monster is going to be. The first stage is pretty fine, but then later on stages, you're like in the sewers, or you're like in some weird cloud island. I mean, it's interesting. You want to keep playing it because you want to see what's going to happen next. Huge fan of Monster Party. I'm going to give this game an A. There's that muscle tag team wrestling game. And again, for me, huge wrestling fan, disappointed when I finally got this game. I finally played it. I'm like, man, this game, it's not even a wrestling game. You just gotta move around and jump around. You can punch, and you can sometimes do like kind of a German suplex, and sometimes like a pile driver or something. And it is tag team, so you can bring in the other guy who does pretty much exactly the same thing. It's not a good game. This game's an F. Ninja Kid, like Dragon Power was Dragon Ball, Ninja Kid is based on an anime called Gegege no Kitaro, which I'm sure was a manga as well in Japan. But then they brought it out to America, they changed it up to just make it called, hey, Ninja Kid. All right, good enough. Because when you play the game, you're like, this is kind of a weird, kind of macabre feeling to it, with like the ghosts and stuff like that, and that's what the original anime is all about. And this one you play as a ninja. I wish they would have just left it the same. And this is even before I even knew what Gegege no Kitaro was. I didn't find that out until like the late 90s. It's fine. It's a fine game. I'll put it as a C. It's all right. The Rocketeer was like the it movie for a time. It was the thing that was like people wanted to watch it, people wanted to see it. It was a dude in a jetpack. Man, that was like the dream thing of the time. And then we get the NES version, which should have been about a dude in a jetpack, and it is. And he doesn't really use it. It's still an action game. You're still running around shooting enemies and punching them, and it's like, you have a jetpack. Get out of the stage and keep going. And you were able to use your jetpack to an extent like later on in the game, but it's like, it's a jetpack. Jetpack aside, it's a pretty decent Nintendo game. It really is. I think the graphics are fine for the time, for what they were. The cutscenes were really cool. I remember the Nintendo Power issue that had like the big maps all laid out and all that too. So a lot of fond memories with the Rocketeer. The movie was better. The Super Nintendo game was pretty cool. I liked that one all right. The Nintendo one, completely different for the Super Nintendo version. It's its own thing. Reminds me kind of like the action stages of Dick Tracy a little bit, but not really. I mean, also, I'll still put this game as a B. It's still worth playing. Shooting Range requires the NES Zapper, and thank you for making a game that requires the Zapper. Now, unfortunately, because I'm using this footage on a flat screen, I can't get you footage for what the game looks like, because I can't use my Zapper on it. However, I am going to do a ranking Zapper games video later on. And although those games will be ranked amongst themselves, in this game with Bandai, it's a decent Zapper game. I'll put it as a C. Well, there's good old Stadium Events. Now, you and I have probably played it as World Class Track Meet, but Stadium Events was the OG, and that's the one that gets all the money. And Bandai pushing the Power Pad, or their Fitness Pad, whatever they called it, for Stadium Events. It only has 6 games. Most of them just involve, running in place. Sometimes you jump. We've all tried to cheat at it by like getting on your hands and knees and just pounding it as much as you can. You ever did that? In fact, I don't know if I should tell you this, but there was a time in my college years where we would regularly have drunk Power Pad parties where we would drink and play World Class Track Meet and try not to fall over. That might be another video for another time talking about that. It's fine. I'll put it as a C just because I'm indifferent for it. It's fine. As World Class Track Meet, but Stadium Events, same thing. There is Street Cop, which requires the Power Pad. Again, the Power Pad was kind of made by Bandai, so they wanted to really push this thing. So they made a game specific for the Power Pad in Street Cop. I will do a Power Pad video later on. I remember playing it back in the day. I remember it not being great. I wanted more from it. It was just awkward to control, hard to control. I'm going to put this game as a D. Got the Toxic Crusaders. This game is a beat 'em up. This game is a total ripoff of like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, like Turtles 2, the arcade game. And hey, you know what? It's actually done pretty well. It's only a one player though, which is too bad. This game's only a one player beat 'em up, but several levels, some cool bosses. I'm not a Toxic Avenger fanatic. I have a few friends who are huge Trauma fans, and so a little bit of that rubbed off onto me playing this game. I think it's fun. I think it's great, actually. If you're into beat 'em ups, if you like Turtles 2, the arcade game, you should definitely check out Toxic Avengers. I'm putting this game as an A. It's good. Another old school arcade game like Galaga, we got Xevious. And Xevious from what's now known as Namco Bandai. It was a Namco game. Namco Bandai, this may have been the game that linked them all together, man. You never know, because got Bandai releasing a Namco game for the NES. And Xevious has always been a fun shooter for me. I love the game. I love the little music at the beginning of it. And the Nintendo game plays like the arcade game. So just like Galaga, if you like that old school arcade style, got it on the NES. Another game as well, I'll put this game as a C. The ever so interesting lot of Bandai games. I've ranked so many other games published by other companies, like Sunsoft, Capcom, Konami, SNK, Data East, Taito recently, and so many more. In the meantime, binge this entire playlist because by the time we're done, we'll have another ranking video coming out just for you.